There are still so many mysteries in the Black Clover series, and I want to try and tackle some of those today and provide a very interesting theory that I've been working on for over a week now, trying to gather the information by reading previous chapters. And I do want to say, before I get into it really quickly, guys, spoiler warning, if you're not caught up with the manga, you probably will be spoiled because it will be talking about recent chapters and such. But if you don't care about manga spoilers, because you get spoiled anyways, then let's get into it, guys. So, one of the bigger mysteries I have seen in Black Clover, I've seen many of you guys ask in the comments, and that is, what is Dante and Monica's symbols when they activate their devil form? This marker is also at the edge of their tails. And after doing some digging, I was able to find that Dante's symbol and what it means. Funny enough, it is the symbol for gravity. That makes sense because Lucifero's magic type is gravity. Now for Vonica, it was much harder to find in research, but I did come across a symbol very similar to that of Vonica's symbol, and that was a protection symbol. Magicula, remember, doesn't have just curse magic, it is curse warding magic, and warding essentially means protection. Now when Asta used his devil form fully with the devil union against Noct, he had a symbol in his eye with the shape of a star. Does this mean that he has star magic secretly? Kind of falling in with Asta being a hybrid theory. Today's theory video, we're discussing the possibility of Asta having star magic, as well as being a hybrid, and maybe even a devil hybrid. If you do end up enjoying this video, please leave a like and comment down below. The like goal for this video, as all of my theory videos, will be 1,000 likes. Also, please subscribe if you're not, and also turn notifications if you'd like to be notified every time I release one of my Black Clover theory videos. Again, thank you guys for so much for 40,000 subscribers. We're on our way to 50,000 next. I just started a Black Clover based Discord called Cloverheim, though it won't have to be necessarily Black Clover based all the time. You can talk about other fictional stories or series as well, but the link to the Discord will be linked in the description below, so if you want to join, that'd be very much appreciated to start a new Black Clover community. Again, it's called Cloverheim. Link to the Discord will be linked down below. As I was stating with the symbols, the Dark Triad have displayed are correlated to the magic types of their devils. Dante has a symbol of gravity, Vonica has a symbol of warding. Interestingly enough, Zenon doesn't have a symbol on his chest. I think there is an explanation of this, and I believe it has to do with the devil user's ability to control devil mana. I think that when the Socrates siblings had first taken over, only Vonica and Dante had been directly possessed by a devil. This is because in chapter 231, Dante asked Zenon if he is now used to using the devil's power. I think that in the past, Zenon had just been using borrowed power from his siblings, similar in the way to how the Dark Disciples use it. But Dante thought that Zenon could use his own devil in the coming wars and the advent of the Clip-Off. So, if you guys don't know, Dark Disciples, they don't have their own devils. They take devil power borrowed from the Dark Triad, so essentially it's a third party. I think that's kind of how Zenon might have had his power in the past, because in the flashbacks it talks about how they all used devil powers. And it makes sense because clearly Dante, at 50% devil power, has a symbol and 2 devil wings and 2 devil horns, while Dante at 55% has 1 wing and 1 horn and no symbol. In the leaked chapter, Vonica even hints that Yami can't be that impressive since Zenon was the one who kidnapped him, implying that Zenon isn't impressive as well, while Dante is, and thus considering herself above Zenon as well. So, that could imply that Zenon is the weakest because he is the last one of the 3 to get a devil. Similarly, Vonica has only 1 wing and 1 horn, but at least she has a symbol. So I think this implies that Zenon is at least the weakest when it comes to using the devil mana. He might not actually be the weakest, but at least when it comes to control of devil mana, it might be the lowest. Similarly, Asta doesn't have a symbol when using his form, and Noct doesn't as well, though he actually might. It might be just different for him because he is in a different type of possession, a contract. And actually, when he uses the Canis mode, the Devil Union, he has a collar and a chain on, similar to what a dog has, which makes sense because he was infused with Gimodello, the dog devil. Though, the tail is just a normal tail for Gimodello. It looks just like basically a general devil tail. I believe that it's just because Gimodello is a low-ranking devil, and you would have to be a high-ranking devil to get these special types of tails. As it would make sense that if Noct has 4 devils at once, that they would likely all be of lower rank. For another example, Zagred has a similar tail, but it has 3 of those triangle shapes. While he doesn't have a symbol, I think it might be something only present in certain cases like devil possessions, but his symbol of 3 triangles, which might be a tie to the Viking symbol of the Volknut, which is a 3-triangle design that is supposed to symbolize 3 parts of the Viking soul complex. That would be interesting if his symbol was tied to souls, because his word magic is actually word soul magic. Now, what of Asta? He doesn't really have a symbol displayed on his chest, but When he is borrowing power from Lib, he does share his tail. Lib's tail is the symbol of the Trishula, which is a symbol for destruction in Hindu mythology. This adds up because anti-magic is a destructive power that obliterates mana and life energy. But a very interesting thing here is that there has to be another devil in the equation when it comes to Asta and Lib, as Asta has the potential for 4 horns, as when he has basically 50% black form, he has 2 horns. In Berserk form, he had 3 horns, and he shows 2 different types or sets of horns, which would imply he would have 4 horns, and the only other devil that we've seen to have 4 horns is Lucifero. Asta has no horns himself, and Lib only has 2. So where do these other 2 horns come from? This means there would have to have been another devil present at all times, at least since chapter 197, when Asta advances his black form to reveal a second horn, one from the other set separate from Lib's. So even before defeating Tigred, there has to have always been another devil involved in this situation. It wouldn't make sense for it to be normal Weg, as it doesn't stay like Sekre's or work like the disciples. Asta's first black form use only brought out Lib's horn. So if it was Weg, it doesn't make sense because the horns only come out when he activates certain levels of the form, unlike Sekre, who always has her horns ever since using forbidden magic. So this begs the question, why does Asta have 2 sets of devil horns? Who was the second devil? At first it made me think that it was just another devil that was inside the 5th Leaf Clover Grimoire. There was maybe one in there before Lib was sealed inside. Because remember, it was already a 5th Leaf Clover Grimoire, and 5th Leaf resides a devil when Lib was sealed inside of it. But Lib spent years inside of that Grimoire, and he never saw another devil, at least that we know of. It would be very likely that Lib would have interacted with the second devil if there was one in the Grimoire, and if there was, he probably would have killed it because he hates devils. This leads to another possibility, and might be the likely one, and that is similar to that of my Asta being a half Jotun theory. Instead, in this theory, Asta is a half devil. This would explain multiple things and also explain a weird mystery that I haven't seen really anyone talking about. First, let us discuss why Asta might be a half devil. This would explain 1. How Asta's father could possibly survive to conceive Asta with Asita, and 2. Explain how Asta could both survive the womb and have lost his magic at the same time, while also explaining this weird instance that happened in his fight against Noct. If you pay attention, Noct activated his shadow magic mana zone that covered the entire room in shadows, making it fall to complete darkness. Asta even said it was pitch black, and it was so dark that it even messed with his key sensing abilities. Though, when Asta and Lib would both break their limits and form Devil Union, an aura of light would fill the room from where they stood, and Asta's pupil would change to the shape of a star. How would Asta and Lib be able to emit light when between the two of them they can only use anti-magic, which is a dark black colored and thus wouldn't be able to light up the room of shadows? Well, if Asta's father was a devil, it would explain how he'd be able to survive intercourse with Asita, as even Asita implies that she can't absorb Lib's life energy because he is a devil. This means that if Asta's father was a devil, though he would lose his mana to Asita, he would not lose life energy to her. Same with Asta. He has no magic in his human form because he had it stolen from him in the womb, but he survived because he was a half-devil, so Asita could not absorb his life energy. Now, when I theorize that Asta has star magic, this is why and how it could be explained. Asta being a hybrid entails him with the possibility to have 2 magic types, and we know that hybrids like Charmy have 2 forms, essentially their human form and their hybrid form, and seemingly the weaker human form is the default. But in this hybrid state, Asta could possibly have a second element, and that could be star magic, an alternate type of mana, devil mana. This would allow Asta to accidentally break his limits against Noct while trying to form the Devil Union. In Yuki Tabata's previous cancelled manga, Hungry Joker, the main character Heidi, who looks a lot like Asta and has a lot of similar tendencies, is a half Mavro, half human hybrid. Mavros are an entity similar to that of demons, and there are many other similarities in the plot and character designs in that series to Black Clover. Is Tabata taking Heidi being a half Mavro and converting that into Asta being a half devil, activating his hybrid devil powers that allow him to use star magic for a brief moment before Lib's anti-magic consumes it and completes the Devil Union. The aura even looks similar to auras that of Yuno has emitted in the past, even in the future, as after this, he would use a mana aura when he was using Boreas just chapters later. If you compare the two, this looks like a mana aura, and it is a aura of light that Asta and Lib are emitting, which is something they should not be able to do if they are using only anti-magic. Think about it for a moment. Asta's name means star in multiple languages like Old Norse and Greek. In the one-shot, his last name is Staria, He has a headband in the shape of a star, and when he activates his double union in the darkness of Nox's shadow magic mana zone, his eyes turn into the shape of a star, and he emits light. Emitting light is what a star is known to do. Otherwise, it makes no sense how Asta was able to emit light in a room of darkness when his power is of darkness itself. Now let's talk about the themes it represents here, because it's actually quite interesting in itself. Asta, a human-devil hybrid, saving the world against the Demon King Lucifero, teamed up with his adoptive devil brother, using a corrupted elven grimoire, being a peasant, using likely dwarven swords, as well as a sword of a foreigner from the Land of the Sun, and a power from the Land of the Sun known as Ki, using the powers of other races and foreigners to basically save the world and save his kingdom, and becoming the Wizard King, which completely would set the class structure on its head. If Asta does have a star magic, it presents a beautiful dynamic between Asta and Lucifero. See, a star's life is a constant struggle against the force of gravity. Gravity constantly works to try and cause the star to collapse. The star's core, however, is very hot, which creates pressure within the gas. Gravity is the main enemy of a star. Lucifero has gravity magic. Gravity will devolve stars into black holes, something that Dante would even use when he used Lucifero's magic against Yami, when he uses a singularity, which is essentially the center of a black hole, which warps time-space. Essentially, all stars will eventually fall to gravity. This represents that Asta and his star magic never would have been able to take down Lucifero and his gravity magic, because gravity beats up on stars. This would also add to an even more implicit theme, Asta being the star of humanity, while the class structures around him act as the symbolistic gravity that attempts to force him to a grovel. It was recently revealed in the early leaked chapter of 277 that Magicula is the parent of all curses, and that all curse magic is derived from her. Henry has a similar curse to Lucita. While it was never directly stated that her body was cursed, I think it is basically implied to be. Magicula likely cursed Lucita for some reason, or maybe no reason at all. Then Lucifero would throw Lebe out, causing him to meet Lucita. Then Lucifero would eventually kill her, and then causing her to seal Lebe safely in the grimoire. That would in turn lock the inevitability of Asta and Lebe working together one day. This means that both Lucifero and Magicula actually set their own fates, as they will likely be killed by our heroes, and definitely Asta will kill at least one of them. Now I want to go over some possible detractions here from my own theory. I know that a lot of you guys will say that this theory can't be true because there's absolutely no way that Ibotta would provide Asta with an avenue to gain mana or a magic type. And I pretty much actually agree here. I love Asta's uniqueness for anti-magic, but if he had magic, could that really change much depending on how it's presented? In this theory video, Lebe's anti-magic cancels out the star magic. Asta can't use it. In my theory, he just uses his hybrid devil body, kind of like Charmy transforming to her hybrid form, to easier use devil union. While he would maybe have magic, he wouldn't be able to use it, as the anti-magic would cancel it out. And it even really shows as the white aura was completely dispersed after it was activated. I think it's because the anti-magic meshed with the mana. Also, remember guys, this is just a theory. This is not me saying this is for sure what is happening in the Black Clover story. I just like doing these videos for fun, and you seem to like it. There are so many mysteries left in Black Clover, I'm just trying to uncover them, and the other mysteries, like who is Zenon's devil? Why did Lucifero lie to Dante about not knowing who Lebe is? Maybe we can work together to decipher these questions in the future. One more thing I want to bring up is maybe Asta will use star magic and anti-magic at the same time. Now you might think this can't work. How can he use both? Well, maybe one half of his body will be anti-magic, the other half will be star magic. And, you know, people can use mana to either help people, heal them, contain them without hurting them, or hurt them. Maybe Lebe can use that to a similar way, where he can use anti-magic so that it doesn't destroy magic. If he has complete control over it, like, you know how Marilena will use her fire magic to trap people, but it doesn't set people on fire. It's because she has basically high control over it. What if Lebe could do the same thing with anti-magic so that it could pair with the star magic? Not really something I'd like. I would like it better if, you know, Asta's star magic was always destined to lose to Lucifero because he has gravity magic, and then anti-magic used from his adoptive brother would be basically the two sons avenging their mother against the Demon King Lucifero. That would be a much better thing in my opinion. But yeah, it's definitely weird. You know, Asta means star in Old Norse and Greek. Staria is his last name in the one-shot. He has the star headband. He has the star eye shape on his pupil when he is fighting Noct, and then he emits light in that same instance, and it essentially emits an aura that looks a lot like a mana aura. And so I think that it might be that Asta has star magic, and he is a hybrid of some sort, maybe a devil hybrid. That would explain the 4 horns if he is a devil hybrid, because then he'd have 2 horns of his own. Compare that with Lieb, or pair that with Lieb, who also has 2 horns. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this theory down below. Please leave a like if you do enjoy. Remember, like goal is 1,000 likes. Please subscribe if you're new. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. If you want to hire me as an online personal trainer, my link to my website will be linked down below. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Plus...